Welcome to the Bill Levinson Experience, a motivational podcast relating to the insurance brokerage industry and business in general. And now, here's Bill Levinson.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Bill Levinson Experience podcast officially. Here we are early December 2021, holiday season, which is my favorite time of the year. And hopefully, as far as the pandemic and COVID, hopefully things start to get a little better out there. I know the life insurance side, as far as premium, is skyrocketing right now, and it's no surprise. The life insurance conversation is at the top of everyone's mind because, you know, parents, grandparents, children, grandchildren are saying, oh my gosh, if mommy or daddy, our breadwinner, get COVID and something happens, are we going to be okay? So bottom line is things are booming, okay? We have been on fire for the last 19 months. And, you know, what's interesting, I'm just going to back up for a second before I get into our official guest speaker here. But you look at our industry, and I just saw the last quarter for LIMRA statistics, and premium is up by double-digit growth. It's been a record-breaking year in the life insurance world. So if you're an insurance agent, kudos to you, okay, number one. If you're not, okay, obviously you need to have a policy. And with that, on the side for a second, you know, if you're listening to this, right, for some motivation, you're a younger guy, a younger girl out there, okay? I know we have an audience from all over the country, and you're looking for some ideas, right, some inspiration, you are at the right place because the story that we're about to share is a younger gentleman, okay, in fact, just 33 years old, and it's so interesting because as far as life insurance goes, he happens to be our in-house marketing VP for Life of the Southwest National Life Group, and he has this side hustle, if you want to call it that. And what's amazing, and the way I even found out about the side hustle is he sends me a YouTube video and says, Bill, check this out. And the side hustle is called Black Menswear, okay? So he has this business. In fact, he's the CEO of his company. So he has this side hustle business that's also booming. So he's wearing two hats. He's a family guy, married, two children, and his story. And when I first found out about this, I said, God, I got to get this guy on our podcast. But it's so unique. In fact, I've been doing this for 3.5 years now, and I've never heard a story or had a guest speaker like Mr. NeAndre Broussard. So I'm excited about this myself, okay? I'm just as curious and interested as you all are, so this is going to be fun. I'm going to give you a quick bio on NeAndre, our guest speaker. So real fast, he's consistently a top performer in the financial services industry for the last 10 years. He currently serves as a key account sales rep for National Life Group, Life of the Southwest. After studying markets and culture at SMU, he quickly learned social media marketing and worked to build a number of large, successful social media platforms, with Black Menswear being the most pivotal. He's been featured in several publications and had his story shared on NBC, ABC, Fox, and CBS affiliates around the country. Okay, NeAndre is out of Dallas, Texas, married with his two children. So great stuff, especially all of these accomplishments for a man that's 33 years old proves and tells me that anyone can do it out there. There's no excuse, okay, and you're about to see exactly why. So first and foremost, NeAndre, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you, Bill, for having me on. I'm honored.
Well, listen, I feel the same exact way, and you know, even putting all of your personal accomplishments aside, when it comes to LSW, we are a partner of yours. We're a distribution arm to our 20,000 agents out there. And you were never really a big player for us. You weren't recognized as a core company at Levinson. And I'm going to tell you honestly, in the last 2 years, and when I met you, and you helped us tremendously and get our agents trained and everything else, but when I met you, the timing couldn't have been better, because LSW was one of the only companies that didn't make any underwriting changes during COVID. So here you had the most competitive products, best premium, these living benefits, and you didn't pull back the strings like all of the other carriers. So between you joining the team, helping us, LSW's products, and then the pandemic, it was like the perfect storm, and we took off, and that was the rest. I mean, that was it for us. So it's a great story.
And that's really one thing that I've learned as I've grown up in this industry. A lot of things as it relates to relationships, right? Because one thing that I learned about this industry is that it's more about relationships and less necessarily about what we like to call PUC, right? Product underwriting compensation. Those are actually, those are a part of the equation, right? You got to have a product, you got to have underwriting that can get policies issued, and you got to pay people. But what stands out amongst all three of those is relationship. And one of the biggest things about relationships is, like you said, it's timing, right? If things that I've got going on right now are running perfectly, then the timing it may not be right for a new relationship to come and kind of disrupt what I've got going on. And then when the timing happens, then new relationships form, and then those turn into long-term relationships, and those turn into a really successful opportunity. So I love the fact that you hit on, that aspect of the business that a lot of people get, even as it relates to, having conversations with clients. Sometimes the timing isn't right for a client, right? We always say in this industry, and no is just a not now. And that comes back to the timing of things. When it's right, it's right. And if you have no presence, then it could possibly never be right. But if you keep putting your presence out there and making, your connections and your introductions and following up, you never know when that door is going to open, and the next thing you know, you've got a partner for life.
Yeah, that is so true. And I feel like for any industry or any situation, that's exactly the truth. And yes, you have to be consistent and persistent with your message, and then all of a sudden the opportunities start showing up, right? And then the second part of that is you have to know which ones to jump into and which ones to hold back on, right? So
very true, very true.
Yep. I love it. And obviously we're all going to make some mistakes at one time or another. You learn from that, and you keep moving forward, and then the next door opens. So I love that look on this. Okay, so let's back up for a second, if you don't mind. Let's take NeAndre back to growing up. Tell us a little bit about the family, and then education, and then how you wound up starting your own business, and the LSW story. Just give us a little background, if you will.
A whirlwind of my life before 23, right? So I am I'm from Houston. I'm actually a military brat. So my dad served 21 years in the Marine Corps. From that, I was privileged, to be able to see different parts of the world even as a child. So I knew that there was a lot out there, just based off of how often we were deployed or moved around to different places, right? And so with that, when my dad retired from the military, we moved back to Texas, where we ended up settling. I was originally born in Houston, and then when I was 10, we ended up back in Houston. So from that point on, me, my mom, my dad, and my brother, we growing up like a normal family, had our life struggles and difficulties and successes, and as you take them as a family, and graduated in 2006 from high school, went on to go to SMU out in Dallas, Southern Methodist University. One thing that was really important for me as I was picking my college of where I wanted to go, one thing that really mattered to me, and it'll kind of bring itself full circle now, is I wanted to go to somewhere that it was an opportunity for me to actually leave my mark on campus, right? So because my dad was in the military, I graduated at the top 10% of my high school class. I had an opportunity. I could go to any state school that I wanted to. But one thing I thought about all the state schools, like, man, these are such large universities, right? There's a way I can get lost in the shuffle. I would rather go to a smaller pond and have a greater impact. So that's actually why I chose SMU over going to Texas and A&M, University of Houston, right? And that helped to define who I have become today. When I think about how can I make an impact on wherever I go, because I'm very much a people person, right? And so go through school and graduate. I take a little longer track. I took a victory lap in college, so it took me 5 years instead of the traditional 3.5 to 4. But within that, one thing that I really started understanding was relationships, and from internships to jobs, everything that I tended to blossom was based off of a relationship that I had. And, all of those things kind of really formulated in me this understanding of how when you care about people and people care about you, a lot of doors open up and a lot of opportunities open up, not just for me, but for other people, right? And so really that was one of those things, because even as I think back to being a child and moving a lot, I went to 6 different schools before I got out of middle school. And so, with understanding that, you're going to a new place, you got to meet people. You got to, get out there and engage and get to know people. And bringing that into adulthood, it's the same way when it comes to networking and marketing yourself or marketing your business and having an impression on people. It's all about relationships. And so, really for me, the relationship component of why I'm successful now and why I'm finding success now is something that was instilled in me at a very, very young age. Even my dad. So my dad was in military. He got out of the military, went to the school system, went in the ministry. My mother's always been an entrepreneur. And so even because, you got to think about it. If your husband is consistently moving from one place to another, how hard is it for you to really establish, something where you are? And so she developed this entrepreneurial spirit that she had businesses that she can then take with her to different places. And, that actually is still another part of me about the opportunity to be able to create your own, to have ownership, and to be able to see something that you've created grow and flourish over time. And so bringing that relationship aspect together, plus this entrepreneurial spirit together, plus just this people person aspect, kind of fast forwards as to why I love financial services, the financial services industry, because it's a place to be able to help people feel to help people to be able to have confidence in their future through a stable financial situation, right? Whether that's life insurance, looking at life insurance from a protection perspective, looking at life insurance from a retirement perspective when we talk about cash value life insurance, looking at retirement strategies through annuities, just these different components of us being able to help our clients sleep better at night because we've provided them a resource or a solution that they can feel better about their financial futures. And bringing that back into who I am as a person really just helps me and gives me my joy. It fills up, my gas tank, as it would say, of emotion, because I've been able to help more people to find that peace and what they're doing. And then the last component of that, as it relates to the Black menswear piece, right? Black menswear in itself is a platform that we've built that focuses on the positivity around the African-American male community or the Black male community, right? And so even within that, having the conversations based off of the content we've created that has helped to inspire and change another generation of Black men who now see themselves in a much more positive light than a lot of the negative imagery of the media will showcase them about themselves, and how that's helped shift the narrative or change the narrative, as we say, as a mantra of our community. And just the love and the aura and the empowerment behind that is really what fuels and continues to drive that aspect of the business as well. So I know I threw a lot at you, right?
No, that was great.
That
That was great. And I feel like if you're looking at, menswear and because I see, in all your social media pictures, you're dressed to the nines, and you obviously know that part of the industry, which kind of goes hand in hand, believe it or not, with the life insurance industry. So,
right.
I just feel like, what's the most important piece of everything you just said is you have to have that passion, that drive, that enthusiasm. And it doesn't matter if it's about, protecting families, or if it's about a nice three-piece suit and the matching tie and shoes, whatever it is. If you're not feeling it and there's not that fire inside of you, it's never you're never going to make it. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. So I love to hear, your side of the story and how this began. So tell me, I just want to shift gears for a second. Who helped you? As a mentor, was it a parent, a coach? Who kept the young NeAndre, on your toes and focused? Who pushed you, when things got a little tough?
Yeah, honestly, man, I have a great balance between my parents, right?
Yeah.
So again, my dad is the military, the discipline. This is the if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late, and to be late is unacceptable, right? That's him. And then I've got my mom, who's the dreamer, the entrepreneur, the hey, you can start this and you can do this, and when times get down, don't worry about it. You got to fail, you got to have step backs in order to have steps forward, right? And so really the balance between the two of them, honestly, molded me into who I am today, to where I don't see L's as losses. I see them as lessons, right? I see them as opportunities to take something from something that didn't necessarily succeed in the way that I wanted it to succeed, take a nugget or something out of that helps me to build a stronger foundation to be able to move forward and attain my goals that I have in the future. And so really the balance between my mom and my dad was honestly, something that created this, this ball of who I am today. I say another individual too, or a group of individuals. So for me, I didn't have, and this is kind of crazy, right? I didn't have any black teachers until I was in high school. Of all the places that I had been, and it's some people say, why is that important? But for a young black male who oftentimes, right, and we talk about how the media is very impressionable, which is why I started a media platform. Oftentimes you see such negativity as it relates to you that it's so easy to fall into traps, right? And so when you don't have individuals that are going to, check you in class in a way that's like you get checked at home, there's a difference in that, right? And so I had teachers that were like, hey, bro, sit down, be quiet, do your work. Like, why are you fooling around and goofing off? You're too smart to do that. That was the first time I had anybody tell me you're too smart to be acting like you're acting. And that hit me in a way that was, oh, man, you're not applying yourself in the way that you can be applying yourself, right? And of course, I heard it from my parents, but it's one thing to hear from your parents. It's another thing to hear from somebody else. And to hear from somebody else, at that point, they kind of helped to develop and groom me into who I am today as well by having additional outside influences that helped me to retrain my brain, for lack of better terms, to, you're very, very much underperforming right now, and you can't get where you want to go if you're an underperformer. And for me, that hit me at the right time.
Wow, that's strong. Now, that was a high school teacher, you said?
Yeah, it was actually three women. Three women I had in 9th grade, 10th grade, and 12th grade. They were all friends together, and they kind of watched out for me and made sure that I did what I was supposed to do to excel during that time.
Wow, very interesting. Do you still talk to any of them today?
I do. I actually do. So my 9th grade teacher, Miss Provo, I actually still talk to her as often as I can when I go back home. She's still in the district. She's still close with my dad. And that was the benefit of having my dad being in the school system as well, like in the district, because she was like, hey, look out for him. And she ended up being one of my teachers freshman years. And she definitely looked out for me. So I still try to keep up with her as much as I can.
That's awesome. I love to hear that stuff. And she's probably so proud of you, and I feel like, as children growing up, not everybody has that parent, that coach, that teacher, like imagine, you were in middle school and then high school and then college, and you never came across that teacher that really took a caring for you, right? For a complete stranger.
Right.
And you got to kind of find it on your own, which is still possible, and a lot of people do. But I don't know. I just feel that it's so important, and I agree with you. I remember my parents would always tell me the same thing. You're much better than this. You have what it takes. You can do anything. You're the best. And it sounds great, but after a while, you're like, oh, they're just saying it because they're my parents, and then
Exactly.
Yeah. And for me, for you, it was your teacher. For me, it was a complete stranger that bought a motorcycle from me. He's my mentor, and he happened to be a Forbes 400 self-made billionaire, and he became a lifelong, second parent, mentor, coach, all the above.
Yeah.
And what happens is, and it's the same exact philosophy, this stranger takes a liking to you and says, Bill, you're much better than this. Why are you wasting your time here? My parents said it, 3,000 times. He said it to me once. I quit the next day and started the insurance business. So, it's so true what you're saying. Everybody, I don't care what age you are, what color you are, if you're Jewish, Catholic, Christian, doesn't make a difference. Okay, you need to find that someone. Okay, and you need to listen and learn and use that drive, I'm telling you, because it will change your life. Okay, and I think it's so important. Yep. Okay, so let's switch gears again real quick. I want to talk a little bit about black menswear and give us the 100-foot overview on the company and how it got started, how the idea came up, where you are today. I think it's a great story, and I think everyone would love to hear it.
I appreciate that. So, Black Menswear is a media. It's a digital media company that we started 4 years ago. I started out of necessity, and I really started out of necessity because about 4 or 5 years ago, it was a very, very rough time when it came to the black community and police brutality, right? As it was identified through the media, and so with that, there was so many images of this police brutality and people dying at the hands of law enforcement, and there was a really big shift in how the media was portraying people that looked like me or that fit into my community. And for me to be somebody who, at that point I was like, I got a good job, I got a good family. For me to be able to see myself in all of these victims hurt. It hurt in a way that I had never necessarily felt hurt before, as related to something that wasn't directly in my, directly in front of me or by 1 degree of separation, right? And so at that point, it was something for me. It was like, man, in all of these situations, there's always such a negative stigma or stereotype or portrayal of somebody who we don't know what happened, but the media automatically made this person into a villain, right? And then there were times that came out and we found out that the situation was far overblown, or the situation shouldn't have escalated to this way, or the situation shouldn't have happened, period. But the damage was already done to the character of the individual. And when you see that so often, it becomes so easy for you to fall into that stereotype because that's all that you see about yourself, especially as a young child or young boys that are impressionable. You say, oh, this is just what was supposed to happen, right? And so once I started seeing all of that, for me, it was my way of providing a positive outlet, right? Providing positive imagery of black men through a social media platform that I would be able to further express and further reach than I could reach based off of my personal network, right? And so starting this platform that spoke to the positive energy around black men and using the visualization of black men in suits, because suits are synonymous with success within any culture, right? Whether you're white, black, Asian, South American, Hispanic, anything, right? Suits are synonymous with business, which is more so synonymous with success, opportunity. And so if I can create a visual of success and opportunity how can that shift the mindset of young black boys that are only seeing visualizations of negativity, thug, inmate, those type of descriptions that define who they are, right? And so this platform was built out of necessity for that. And I mean, man, the blessing of positive energy and positivity that has come from this to where we've now, I mean, again, we've traveled the world. We just got back from Paris last month to do, last week, doing one of our flash mobs where we travel the world and we bring hundreds of black men together in suits together to network, to exchange information, to establish partnerships and these kind of things across the world. We've launched a successful podcast called The Check-In with Black Menswear. We've launched a very successful suit line called BM & Co. Menswear, and we've launched a black male influencer network where we've done high six-figure revenue for black male influencers that didn't have access to brand deals before we were able to start pitching them to different companies and things like that. And so the basis of it came out of a need, but how God has taken it and progressed it over this amount of time, man, I'm just forever great. I'm just grateful to try to walk in the vision, honestly, at this point.
Good for you, man. Good for you. And I'm here to help in any way I can too. So I love what you're doing. Obviously I'm a young Jewish guy, right, from Miami, Florida.
Yes.
And
yes, sir.
And I look at myself, I look at NeAndre, we've had Austin Rivers on here, the basketball player, Jorge Solar, a black man from Cuba. And
yes, sir.
I always looked at everybody for who they are, right? You start there. And we all bleed the same, and I can appreciate, your angle, the positivity. I think the creation of this is wonderful. I get it. I understand it from all corners. So it's an amazing thing that you did, and it's about giving back at the end of the day. So kudos to you.
Yeah.
Really.
No, I appreciate that. And one thing that we like to say, kind of within our group is so me, obviously I'm a rising, regional VP for a life insurance company, right? My boy, that's my partner, he's a director for ad executive, an ad agency. My creative director is an entrepreneur who owns his own studio in Baltimore, Maryland. My lead tailor is a gentleman who owns his own suit company and then partnered with us to establish an even larger black designer suit company. And one thing that we talk about is man, a lot of times the rooms that we're in, when we get outside of those rooms, people don't know we exist. They see me, people see me walking and it just kind of goes through their mind okay, he is who he is, it is what it is. They don't even understand that we exist on the level that we exist. And Black Menswear has allowed us to be able to share these stories because when you see better, you do better, right? When you know better, you do better. If there are not a lot of opportunities that are presented to you, then you limit your mental of what opportunities I have access to. Yes, you have individuals that make it out, as we like to say in our community, I made it out, right? But if why does it have to be an anomaly? Why does it have to be so much of, oh, well, he did it, but he's different? Nah. If we can showcase that there are more opportunities out there, we can then shift the entire narrative of our community, especially for our young black males.
Love it. I think it's so true. Spot on. Love it. One promise though, you got to get me fitted for a nice suit when this is all over, because
hey man, I got you. I'm gonna be in Miami in 2 weeks. I'm bringing my tailor with me, so yeah, we'll be good to go.
bring that measuring tape. My promise to you is I'm wearing it at our April 8th, 2022 Expo. That's going to be my suit of choice. Okay,
I would
done.
love that. Yes,
it's on record.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. Even more important, though, I love the meaning and what this is about. That's really the most important part of it. So, again, kudos to you. All right, I want to switch gears again. Oh, by the way, before I forget here, check out NeAndre's Instagram page. Okay, follow him, support him. It's Mr. Broussard. Okay, so it's spelled Broussard, Mr. Broussard, or just go to my page and then you'll see him on my page. You can follow him that way too.
Tag, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, but let's all support each other and help each other as we always do. So, okay, good stuff. So now let's talk about life insurance and LSW, the way we met. How did you get started on this side, which is obviously completely different? I'd like to hear this story.
Yeah, and so before I came to life insurance, I was a private client banker. So I as a part of my relationship with my clients, I offered mutual funds and annuities. And I was licensed for life insurance as well, but I didn't really do a whole lot of it. And to be honest, man, I got introduced to National Life Group LSW by a colleague, a frat brother of mine. His wife worked there. And he's like, man, I know, you and I have been talking, and you say, you feel as though it might be time for a change. Bill, you talked about timing earlier. And I was like, well, let's have a conversation to find out about this company, man. And I went, and we went to Cold Stone. It was me, my wife, him, and his wife. We went to Cold Stone and just had a conversation around this company that she worked for. And she talked about the fact that this company paid their employees to go and do volunteer time, right? Paid days per year to go volunteer because we're all about doing good in the community. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And then she talked about the fact that they offer life insurance policies that people don't have to die to utilize. I was like, what do you mean? Because again, this is 8 years ago. I didn't know anything about living benefits. I thought you had to die to use your life insurance policy. She's like, no, we offer policies where we talk to individuals about they can use their own policies to benefit themselves if they have a heart attack, stroke, cancer, or a number of other different illnesses. They can tap into the death benefit themselves to be able to utilize that and not have to go broke to be able to pay for medical expenses. I was like, okay, that's different. This started talking about, at that point it was a 165-year-old company, third oldest mutual company in the country. They've got an office in Dallas and in Vermont. Like, I had never been to Vermont before. That sounds pretty cool. And then she started talking about the leadership and how she personally knew the CEO of at that time, top 20 life insurance company, and how, he had this aura around him as he walked around the campuses and walked and met employees at the home office, and it was just different. I was like, okay, let me take you up on this. So I go through my interview process, get there. I mean, and I can immediately feel it when I got there versus where I was before. Where I was before was was actually the number one bank in the world, right? And so going from that to a smaller like a smaller financial institution that had a bigger presence, that I would say when it comes to the heartstrings, and it was like I was at home. And so fast forward now, 8 years later, I feel like I like to say I've grown up at National Life Group, kind of, coming into the life insurance space. And because before, with the annuity and mutual fund background, I actually came to National Life Group as an annuity expert. But, have since expanded my horizon into annuities and life insurance. And now, again, it's one of those things where I'm at home. When it comes to this industry, I'm really at home at National Life Group.
Wow, good stuff. And you can tell, and since I met you, you're just as passionate about both sides, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
Here this life insurance world, and then obviously black menswear, and you built a whole following, and it's awesome to see, to hear. You've helped our agents tremendously, okay, with as far as training and PowerPoints and expos and speeches and everything else. So it's really cool to see that. And just remember, everyone, this guy's 33 years old. And to see, what you've accomplished in your wisdom, right, and all the nuggets, it's amazing. And this is why I wanted you on the Bill Levinson podcast. I mean, it's great to hear. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And really, one thing that I like, and people often ask me, how do you bring it all together? And I said, for me, it's where passion meets profit, right? Because these are all things I'm passionate about. People I'm just glad I get paid to do what I do, right? Because at the end of the day, all that I'm doing is helping people to feel better about themselves, feel better about their futures, and feel better about their opportunities, whether that is through their financials, whether that is through their network, whether that is through their visual representation of themselves, whether, there's so many things that offshoot from all of this, but the crux of all of it is I'm living in my passion, I'm living in my purpose, I'm just getting paid to do it.
Love it, love it, love it. And that's the icing on the cake. I feel like, if you start with the first part, right, your passion, what you love to do, I feel like the second part, which is the income and getting paid to do it, that will come. That will come, right? I always felt like that, as a salesman, selling motorcycles at 18 years old. I loved what I did, and then everything else kind of fell into place afterwards. And also what you said is interesting, it doesn't matter what hat you're wearing on both sides, it's about helping people, right? And it doesn't matter the color of their skin, their religion, where they're from. It's helping people at the end of the day. Am I right?
End of the day. You are right. At the end of the day, if I can put a smile on someone else's face with all they got going on in the world, if I can help you and inject some positivity into your life, then it's a success for me. Even if I talked about profit, but even if at the end of the day no money is earned or anything like that, I have or that relationship or that experience with that individual has made a deposit into my personal bank, my emotional bank, and I am better for it, right? So that's like you say, to that point, that is the crux of it all for me, is just bringing happiness and more positivity into the world, because I just love people so much.
Yeah, and it's true. And I can tell you, off record, on record, before, after this, it doesn't matter. I've known NeAndre for a couple years now, and what he's saying is from the heart, and it's so true. And you know what proves what you just said? And I know it's easy on the outside to say, oh, yeah, it's easy for them to say, yeah, sure, they're helping someone. They don't make a penny, but they're still happy. Yeah, right. Here's what proves that concept, to me at least, and I think you're the same way. So obviously we have 20,000 agents. We've been around since '72, and we're one of the top IMOs in the country, okay, which is great, okay. And most important for me, and what makes me feel the best, it could be a Saturday afternoon, a Tuesday morning, whatever. I'll get an instant message, a direct message, an email, whatever you want to call it, and it's from someone maybe in the business or not even in the business, maybe a young guy, older lady, it doesn't matter, that says, oh my gosh, I just listened to podcast number 17 and the story that woman brought to the table, and because of your interviewing this woman, how it changed my life, and now I'm a different person because of it, I just wanted to say thank you. I mean, I get the goosebumps from that, and that's what proves exactly what we're saying. It's like helping people first, giving back, and then everything else will fall into place. Doesn't mean you go around helping everyone and you wind up bankrupt. I'm not saying that.
Right,
okay?
Right.
But at the end of the day, you got to think like that first, and then everything else comes. And I feel like so many people get it backwards. So anyway, I think that's a good point. All right, we have just a few minutes left, so I want to ask a couple more questions, and then we'll put a bow on this. Any good personal stories that you want to share? It doesn't matter if it's maybe before insurance, after insurance, on the black menswear side, anything. Any stories that you can think of for the audience?
Man, and just kind of echoing what you just said in regards to how people receive the things that you do, right? So we had one of our flash mobs in Washington, D.C., where we had 240 guys on the Lincoln Memorial steps in August of 2020 that came with us. And to have one of the young men that came up to me said, man, look, this is awesome. This, like, you don't understand what this has done for me. He's like, I'm in my, junior year in college. And, bro, it was getting tough. And I was literally about to just say, you know what, I'm done, because it was so overwhelming for me. And he said, being here today with these guys gave me exactly what I needed to push through. He's like, I will be okay because I was able to be here, and you curated this experience for me to come out and get to know just some guys that are like-minded like me, and it just helped me to be able to say, you know what, this is the motivation I needed. And at that moment, that was one of those moments, even for me, you know, we talk about doing the work without getting paid for it. I mean, Black Menswear, it was 3 years of doing things before I turned any profit. But it was 3 years, like those 3 years were like, you know, I'm like, no, we're building something. We have this momentum of taking the community to another level and helping people to feel better about themselves. So that aspect of it, like, and hearing that and getting that, that was like the kind of like the icing on the cake. Like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing as it related to that. So just a quick story, you know, as it goes to, you know, again, that loving what you do and getting those small victories in what you love can go a long way.
Yep, and that's the fuel and the fire that drives you and pushes you when things get tough. You don't forget that. You don't forget how you changed that guy's life, right? And that's what you need to keep your foot on the gas constantly. All right, this last question, social media importance. I know you get it, and that's one of the things I loved about you day one. Just a quick example. Well, we have everyone on the phone here today, thousands of people from all over the country. Let's just take, for example, it's so important on the life insurance side, on the Black Menswear side, what you've built. Just give everyone a quick example. Let's just say you started that company and you never used social media to get it off the ground. Where would it be today? You never had any social media, no presence at all.
You know, let me say this. It would probably be in the state of Texas. I'll say that.
Exactly.
I think it would. It would have, you know, grew legs, and it would probably be in the state of Texas, probably Dallas, Austin, Houston. I don't think I would have been able to go to Paris like I did last week with open arms. I mean, like we took a whole team. Bill, I was able to go to Paris for 10 days with my entire family based off of the beauty of what this has built, right? And how people globally are able to see the content, understand the content, tap into the database, tap into the email network, tap into the podcast, listen to the words that are coming from people that they want to hear from. But social media is what allowed me to spread that wildfire, for lack of better terms, to be able to reach more people than I can physically walk up to, handshake, and tell my story personally. I get on social media, I go live, that's broadcast all over the world for free. So understanding that opportunity was there, I took full advantage.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to end with this. You went from would have been 3 cities, literally, in one state in this country, to global recognition because of social media and all the pieces that go along with it. So I'm going to leave you with this, folks. I don't care if you're pushing 3-piece suits, a new community you're building, life insurance with living benefits. If you're not using and maximizing social media, you're driving a horse around New York City in 2021, literally, driving a car in reverse. So, all right. Yeah. With that said, NeAndre, do you want to leave the crowd with anything before we wrap this up?
Man, I always say this is one of the favorite things that I ever heard, and I heard it randomly. I'll tell you about my mom. She's an entrepreneur. So she used to listen to this guy named Brian Buffini. And Brian Buffini said, and it stuck with me since I was 9 years old, he said, I am the best version of me ever created. And he said, because there is no other version of me ever created. So stop trying to be other people, because you can't be other people when you're supposed to be being you. And that stuck with me, and that's something that I always say as often as I can. If anybody ever asks me, what do you want to leave the people with, I always say, you are the best version of you ever created, so live your life, because you can't fulfill your dreams if you're comparing yourself to other people. You can't reach your goals and attain your goals if you're checking yourself for other people. So thrive and flourish in who you are. Find out what's your, best parts or best assets are, and grow in those as you become the person that you're trying to be, and as you get to who you are supposed to be in this world. So you are the best version of you ever created.
I love that. And what nobody knows is I have literally a Post-it note on my monitor, because I do these webinars every week, that says be yourself. Because when I figured that out, that's when things took off for me too. So that's freaking awesome. All right, we're going to end with that. Check out and follow NeAndre's Instagram page, Mr. Broussard. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much, NeAndre. Everybody listening, this was awesome as expected. Have a great holiday season. Have a great new year, right? And let's all change our life for the better and be yourself. Thanks again, everyone.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care.
Thank you for joining us for the Bill Levinson Experience. Please feel free to share this podcast with anyone you think would be interested. You may also visit levinsonandassociates.com and all of Bill Levinson's social media pages for more information.